Just a tragic day here in the town of Farmington. It's about 2 hours outside of the city of Portland, as you were mentioning. And out here today are dozens of first responders who are now trying to pick through the pieces of what's left of this building. This is a storm that is quickly deteriorating, and the police department says it's going to be a matter of time before they're even off the roads and hunkering down in one of the shelters they have set up a few blocks away. They currently have one lane of the highway here blocked off. As you can see behind me, the plane is still here. The pilot of that Cessna using 295, according to the FAA, as an emergency landing strip.
They've shut down most of the Las Vegas Strip. And for here at the Venetian, they shut down the casino. They told us basically no one's going in or out.
Since this tide has moved out, it's revealed a lot of the damage that we've seen. And this home right here, the whole front has kind of collapsed into the water. This is one of them right here. They have a QR code down on the side. If you scan it, we hope to find out a little bit more about who it is. But when we do it, it brings us to a blank web page. A live look out here at Air Force 2 at the Ellington Air Force Base in Houston. This area pulling out all of the stops to celebrate President George H.W. Bush's life. But it takes a lot of work before these sails can get underway. About 24 cadets climb these masts every single day. As part of this law, the state will use about $666,000 in federal funds and about $400,000 in state funds. The study suggests that Maine could see, on average, 14 days with a heat index above 90 degrees by the year 2050. Right now, Maine only sees one. You can see here just how big this snow pile is in the middle of the Midtown Mall, and obviously this is from all winter. It's a scene that goes beyond description. First responders calling it a war zone.
I've been in law enforcement 35 years. I've never seen anything like this before in my life, except overseas. It was horrible.
Insulation and debris falling from the sky, scattered on lawns and homes nearly a mile around, and it was felt even further.
The Shape My Curtains, 4.5 miles from Farmington. That's a very, very powerful explosion.
Investigators say the call came in just after 8 this morning for a propane smell coming from Leap Incorporated.
And while they were investigating that smell of gas, the building exploded.
68-year-old Michael Bell, a 30-year veteran of the Farmington Fire Department, was killed in the blast. 6 of his other co-workers were severely injured, as was an EMT and a maintenance worker at Leap.
We train, but I don't know that we've ever trained for something that we saw this morning. And we certainly don't, expect to lose somebody that we've worked with for years and a loved one and a member of our family.
But the state fire marshal's office says the damage is so significant, it may be hard to pinpoint what exactly happened.
We'll put the pieces back together that we get from the puzzle and see what we're able to conclude as a result of that. Given the circumstances we have right now, it's just an unknown.
And according to the fire marshal's office, this investigation could take weeks, it could take months, and as he said there, they may not even get an answer when they get to the end of that investigation of what exactly transpired here.
Right.
But we do know that there is debris all over the ground here. You mentioned it almost looks like snow, right. And that's why a lot of us are wearing these. They're filter masks. A lot of the first responders have been seen walking around with these as well. At 10 miles an hour,
we're a moving operation.
These crews follow the line.
Good paint, good deed.
One of a handful of teams across Maine whose sole purpose is to paint.
There's a lot to do up here. You stay pretty busy for sure.
Every year, the Maine DOT restripes thousands of miles of state roadways.
Lines are as important to us in the summertime as snow plowing is to DOT in the wintertime.
All to keep you safe.
I couldn't even put a number on the number of lives that's probably saved with these paint lines.
The thick yellow stripes put down with nearly 250 million gallons of paint a year.
This truck holds 500 gallons of paint. We will empty this truck 3 times a day.
And embedded inside, millions of pieces of glass.
That's what makes that line stand out at night. It gives the definition of that line.
Reflective, recycled, and reliable. How do people not get a flat tire?
The glass is 80% round. Our spec calls for an 80% roundness of the glass sphere. There's nothing sharp about it. You can pick it up and rub it in your hands.
While the paint is now easier to see at night, the DOT says people still don't seem to see their crews. Drivers constantly running over their freshly painted lines, trying to pass.
Everybody's in such a hurry today, and it doesn't care if it's going to the store or going to grandma's house or where they're going. Everybody is just...
But these crews say they'll still be out here, ready to lay down the law and the line. Behind these bars, it's sometimes hard to find hope.
We do see all the failures because the failures end up coming back here.
Michael Manfredi was one of those failures. Manfredi used heroin for 35 years and did his fair share of time in Rhode Island.
I became addicted at the age of 15. I was a full-fledged heroin addict.
An out-of-control cycle that seemingly had no end.
Well,
but after his last arrest, he knew something needed to change.
When I got the handcuffs put on me at my house that day when they kicked my door in, I looked at the lady detective and I said, "Thank you." And she looked at me like I was crazy. She said to her partner, she said, "This guy's nuts, ain't he?" She said, well, I said, "You just saved my life." Because if she didn't stop me there, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Manfredi got booked, began his time, but also got in on the ground floor of a new program called MAT, Medicated Assisted Treatment.
There was a lot of skepticism and there was a lot of misinformation about MAT at the beginning.
The voluntary program lets inmates with an opioid use disorder choose a medication to help get them off the drugs. Rhode Island offers 3. Methadone, Suboxone, and Vivitrol.
And that matters.
Loran Howard is the director of the program.
It's a drug that is highly used for contraband. People try to get it in so many different ways. And security here had worked so hard for so long trying to keep it out. They just couldn't fathom bringing it in as a legitimate medication.
But from skepticism came success. 6 months after the program started, a study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association showed a 60% decrease in drug overdose deaths in Rhode Island among those who were recently incarcerated.
I think that goes a long way in helping people understand that it does work. You know, now I hear more people say, but it works. You know, I may be a skeptic, but it works.
Now Maine's prison system is looking to piggyback off that success.
We have to change the way we do business, and we have to recognize that opiate addiction is a medical condition, and we're going to treat it that way.
The Department of Corrections Commissioner Randy Liberty recently brought his team to Rhode Island to see the program firsthand.
I don't think any of us expected to be in the place we are in terms of being a role model. That certainly wasn't anything we thought about when we started this program. We started the program because we knew it was the right thing to do.
Maine and Rhode Island have very different systems, but our state has seen a steady influx of inmates needing drug treatment.
That will change a lot of lives.
It'll change many, many lives. And I've spoken to a lot of parents that are pleading with me, please get my son, my daughter treatment. We've been on this journey for 7 or 8 or 9 years, and something has to give. And the way that we're going to change that is through programming, through treatment, and through MAT.
The Maine DOC plans to start a pilot MAT program in July, treating 120 inmates for 90 days, then rolling it out system-wide by the fall.
Cost the taxpayers about $43,000 a year to house an individual. We're not interested in warehousing. We want to address those core foundational reasons why someone's incarcerated. And in large part, one of those reasons is because of addiction. And we can't arrest our way out of that.
But what happens after an inmate leaves these facilities is the true test.
We have to have seamless transition from jails to prisons and from prisons or jails to the community.
Rhode Island's program allows inmates to continue their treatment on the outside. 93% of them follow through.
Is so important. Saving lives is important.
Lives like Michael Manfredi's.
Would I be where I am today if this program wasn't implemented? No. I wouldn't be here today. Honest to God, I'd be dead.